Final hour for the week. OverDrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Got Jonas Siegel coming up. Dear Hayesy-B later this hour.
I got to tell you, Hayesy, there was a kid that you were in love with, Ludwig Aberg.
Yes.
This guy is the real deal.
He's a stud.
Oh, yeah?
Stud.
Dude, he has been shooting. The last 10 rounds he teed it, 66.6 average. Mm-hmm. He just destroyed that golf course today at Wentworth, playing with Rory and Victor Hovland. And he's dominant, man. He is unreal. He made the Ryder Cup.
Is he the real deal, though?
Real deal.
Even Luke Donald said this guy's a generational talent. I think 6 months ago, this guy was in college, and he made the Ryder Cup team.
He was. He was the number one ranked college player.
Ludwig Aberg.
He's like 6'6", 215, crushes a golf ball, and finds every fairway, which your boy JT did. You see his stats today. Apparently, he hit like
17 greens in reg. Has never done that. Wow.
17 greens in reg. That's an absurd statistic. So maybe he's coming on. But you know who's probably going to take him down at the Ryder Cup in the singles match?
Ludwig
Aberg. I believe it's
That's
Aberg.
your guy, eh? Aberg, that's your guy.
Yeah, Ludwig's my guy. I cashed a couple of top 10 Ludwigs on FanDuel down the stretch. You get a weaker field. I think he finished top 10 at the Rocket Mortgage. Or
you bet Ludwig Aberg to top 10 it?
To top 10 it. You're getting big plus money, man. I'm telling you, that's where you find value. You get the guys who not many people know about. The public's not going to hammer them. A little scratch on Ludwig, man. He's a stud. He's a really good player. Can't wait for the Ryder Cup, man. I can't wait for the Ryder Cup. It's going to be fun.
You promise me Sunday, either your basement or mine, we watch it together.
We have to. It's early, though, right? Because they're in Rome. Like,
doesn't
they're
matter.
Going out really early.
If you want a Bailey's and a coffee, I'll have it for you.
Okay. The only thing
How
is
early? 7 a.m. type of thing?
I'm probably going to be on the ice. I think I'm getting dragged into, like, on the ice help for my kids.
Really?
We got our skates this weekend.
I think for the Ryder Cup, you got to call up Billy and say, Billy, be at the house at 5 a.m. for hockey because I got the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, you're calling in the lefty. I'm calling in the lefty to take the kids to hockey. I think you could be right about that. The Ryder Cup, it comes around only every couple of years.
That's it. You only get a couple hall passes, pal.
That's
the Ryder Cup is one.
You got to wear a bucket on the ice too, eh?
Yeah, that was a concern of mine. I was talking to my wife about that last night.
Never happened.
She's like, "Yeah, you got to have a helmet. Like you have to. It's not non-negotiable." So
I've never seen an former NHL person, any type of personnel, have to wear it.
I see Struddy out there all the time. Like you have to. I
need a pick, or it didn't happen because I would just say I can't do the bucket with the tracksuit.
I tried to pull that shenanigans once, and there was like some person who was didn't like my attitude towards it, and I was like, all right, well, I just won't come out on the ice then. Like
that's it.
But now that you're attached to a team, and I don't know if I'll make it out on my son's ice. I like to just support from afar, but at the end of the day, like they're out there, they have to wear buckets. That's the rule, because it's not for your safety.
You're a different type of hockey parent because you can do so much help because you could help the little goalie. Like you could say, buddy, if you just do this little crouch position, they'll never score on you. Where every other hockey dad's a moron telling people to dump and chase and shoot it over there. You just got to give the little goalie a couple tricks, and you guys can win championships.
I don't know. The worry is that my little guy might be that guy because I want him to play out and learn to skate more. He needs to learn to skate.
He said he wants to be a goalie too?
Well, he was there a couple times last year during the season, and he really enjoyed it, and he looked comfortable in the net. We'll just call it that, which was
Noodles
a little bit jarring.
Assessing the little guy.
It was jarring. I didn't say he looked comfortable. There were other people saying that he looked pretty comfortable.
We need Canadian goaltenders, Noodles. We were just talking about that on SportsCenter.
You just make sure that if he ever plays baseball, like men's league, beer league baseball, he doesn't bunt like our next guest.
Yeah.
But if he's a fast runner like our next guest, he would be able to bunt and then run it out because he's that quick and nimble.
That's the reasoning, right?
Let's get an update on his summer baseball stats.
Baseball IQ as he lay down a drag bunt at slow pitch on a Tuesday night. Christie Pitts. Here's our buddy Jonas Siegel from The Athletic. Are you still doing that kind of stuff, that kind of activities on the baseball diamond, or what, Jonas?
Well, I'm not playing anymore, but let me just ask you this. If you have power,
Here we go.
If you have power, do you try to hit a home run? Yes. If you have speed, you got to use your speed.
Right. How about slapping a single through the hole and running to first? I mean, why can't you do that?
Too. I can do that too. But
do you ever hit for power, Jonas? Have you ever hit a homer?
No, I don't think so. I would love to be able to hit a homer. It's just not in the cards. Like, I'm sure. Well, I was going to say, I'm sure you'd like to score 40 goals. You did score 40 goals. I'm sure a lot of guys would love to score 40, but they can't. So they have to do other things to contribute, right? And that's kind of the way I looked at it.
All right.
Well, I was told through a scouting report told me that it's you and Juan Soto, the best hitters they've ever seen in their life.
Hey, your boy got 30 homers, Jonas. You got to be happy about that.
Yeah, too bad San Diego sucks.
Yeah,
that is concerning. That is a little bit concerning.
He
considering
might not be getting $500 million anymore.
Yeah, something tells me he left some money on the table. I wonder if he calls Washington and goes, you want to put that cash back on the table? Maybe I'd be willing to come home. So anyway, Jonas, it's good to have you on, buddy. We're getting close to go time here, right? The golf tournament on Monday. The rookies are already reporting, or I guess they're on the ice. The rookies are down in Traverse City doing their thing. And you've written articles recently for The Athletic. I believe you had a 12-pack of questions. The 12 burning questions, which might be a new record. Like, are you breaking your own record every year with the amount of burning questions going into camp, or what?
I think so, because I think I had 9 last year, and I didn't even include some stuff. So, I kept some stuff on the table, got to save it for camp. I mean, there is, I know, people look at this team, and they're like, well, there's not that much interesting about camp. But, I think there's actually lots interesting, maybe because it's my job to actually think that there's stuff that's interesting. But, I don't know who's going to play with Matthews. I don't know who's going to play on their defense. I don't know what the pairs are going to look like. I don't know if they're going to stay healthy. I don't know. They're bringing back the same team again. I think that's obviously pretty interesting. They have a new GM. They have the same head coach. I don't know. They should win the division. I think this team is interesting. Don't you guys?
Yeah, I think what you said there is I'm curious how the line of questioning goes on Wednesday. I guess it'll be that they're bringing back the same guys. Meanwhile, the last time you spoke with them, all of us collectively, it was like, wow, we're clearly not going to see all of you back. Obviously Sheldon, Austin, Mitch, John, Willie, Morgan, not all of you can return. And meanwhile, they're all returning. I wonder if they could just all collectively do a press conference and address that. Although it's not their decision, clearly. That's on Treliving and Shanahan. But I'm curious if you would think there would be surprise in the room at all that they're all collectively back, the core of this team and the head coach.
I think so, just based on conversations you have. But remember how strange their end of season press conferences all were. Remember that? They all were asked about coming back, and obviously they all said what you expect. They want to be back. But the way the reaction to the loss just didn't, I don't know, it didn't feel as, I don't know, you remember what that was like. We were kind of all in shock. It was the way that this has gone repeatedly year after year after year, you would think that there would be some, I don't know, even appetite for change. And then obviously we had the Kyle Dubas press conference where he kind of hints that there's going to be change. He obviously doesn't come back. And then Brendan Shanahan basically says there's not going to be change, basically. And there was no change. Obviously the only change is Brad Treliving. So honestly, I don't know how you guys feel. And I probably shouldn't say this because it's my job to go to it and ask questions. It doesn't really matter to me what they say at that first day. I don't know, they can say whatever they want on that first day. I just want to see what it looks like. And honestly, obviously, I want to see what it looks like in the playoffs because that's all really that matters.
Jonas, on that first day, would you be curious and want to know about Mike Babcock or thoughts about that, or would you stay away from that?
I mean, I think it's a worthwhile question. I don't think any of those guys would actually touch it. I mean, if you were in their position and someone asked you your thoughts on what's going down there, are you going to address it, or are you just going to say, you know what, I'm not going to comment on that? It doesn't. As someone like in the past who thought that I don't know how to put this, but I thought the way things went down, obviously with the end of the Babcock era here, wasn't great. But there's no defending any of this stuff. Like, this is all bizarre, and I'm sure that they feel the same way. And obviously, I don't know. Like, I don't think that any of those guys will address it. To you?
No, I think you're right, Jonas. Like, what is the advantage? You look at it from a PR standpoint, and even from the player standpoint, what is their advantage to addressing it? Like, he's not their coach. Yes,
but the Toronto media would just be like, it's a big story. It would be like, I don't know.
I don't think it's offside journalism to ask Boston or Mitch or John or, hey, you guys all played for him for a long time. It's not like, it'd be one thing if you were asking guys in Carolina that have no history with them. They'd be like, I don't know. I'm not getting these guys. Right. They were coached by him for years. Yep. It's like I don't think it's uncalled for. I'm not suggesting it should be a gotcha situation. And if the players say I'm not getting into it, then you respect that and move on. But who knows? I mean, maybe one of them is like, yeah, I'll talk on it. Like, this and not about what happened in Columbus because they're not privy to it, but more so, did he ever do this? Did he ever ask for your phone? I don't think that's unreasonable to ask that. I don't know if they'll answer it, but it sounds like the PA's calling around to see if it happened.
Yeah. What do you guys think happened?
Pardon me?
I just want to I want to answer Hayes' thing. Like, I don't think any of them will touch it. I think they'll be like, you know what, they're going to have a custom line there. They're going to be, and the reason being is because if they say something that is not, he asked for my phone. Oh, really? Now all of a sudden, like, it's a wildfire. Like, for me, I think everyone will just be, hey, he was good to me, all of that type of stuff. I think it's going to be the company line or I'm not going there type of thing.
What if you just said, we're just on to Cincinnati kind of thing?
What, the Leafs? Like, basically? Yeah. Well, that's kind of what – and I agree with you guys. I mean, Noodles, I think you're right. That's probably what will happen. But I don't – what I'm saying is, how this market can be at times with the media. There'll be a reaction like, oh, why are you grilling these? I don't think it's a grilling. It's just it's a question that is totally reasonable. Your former coach, who was your coach for a long time, the last time he coached, it was behind your bench, is under fire for serious allegations. What do you make of it? No comment? Okay, moving on. But it's not like it's not a sewer job by anyone to ask that kind of stuff.
No.
Is all I'm saying. So, yeah, we'll see. With Jonas Siegel of The Athletic, when it comes to what we were talking about with the core and with a lot of the same pieces returning, obviously Shanahan, who's been here the longest, believes in these guys. But what I think is a question for him, and I'd like to get him to answer it. I don't know if we're going to hear from him. I wouldn't assume we will. Maybe we will day one. But why does Shanahan and company believe that the core believes they can finally win? Like, why do you believe there's still belief in the room? Like, that is really the ultimate question, right? Like, Shanahan bringing them back is showing his cards. He believes in them, or he's forcing himself into believing that eventually the tide will turn. But why does he believe they believe it will turn? You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you're Matthews and company, you've been there for 7 years and it hasn't worked. Like, do they really believe in that room that they can win a cup?
Yeah.
That's a tough question. Does it matter? Doesn't it just matter why he thinks that they can win?
What about just small details, Jonas? Like something. This doesn't mean a whole bunch, but you kind of hear like McDavid and Draisaitl where they're having these captain skates, and all they're talking about is we want everybody here because we're going to go on a tear this year, and we know what it takes, and we're going to get it done. It might be just talk, but it seems like they kind of want to mean business this year. At Edmonton, anyway.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't if let's say, I don't know, Tavares and Marner or Matthews and Marner or whoever came out and said that stuff here, wouldn't we all be like?
I guess we would say these guys are just blowing smoke is probably what would happen.
Yeah, but like I think Hayes, like you hit on something that like I'm going to write about for next week. I don't think we talk enough about that. This is like the 10th season now with Brendan Shanahan in charge, and that they're bringing this team back again. Like, imagine, like, if I had told you at the end of last year, I mean, we talked about it, and we're thinking, like, something's going to change. Like, they're going to trade someone, or they're going to do something different, so they're going to change the coach. And, like, the only thing that changes, obviously, is the GM, and they bring back the same team. You would have been, like, apoplectic. You just wouldn't have believed it. You would have thought, like, there's no way that would have happened. And so, like, I think I, knowing, like, how I'm covering the team, that I'm going to start thinking about it from a bigger picture sense, like, with this being, 10 seasons now with Shanahan. You think, like, they've won one playoff series. They've done lots of good things. Like, the organization, you remember how bad it was in 2014 when he took over. Like, it was not in a good place, and obviously there's been lots of good. They've won lots of games. But one playoff round in 9 years is not good. Like, that wasn't the goal when they brought him here. And I think, like, I don't think I focus on that enough, because you get blinded by the GM and the head coach and the core players and the stars. But ultimately, they brought in Brendan Shanahan to win a cup, and they're not closer to that to this point.
Jonas, what do you make of the moves that Treliving made in the offseason, with the Ryan Reaves and the Bertuzzi and John Klingberg and, Max Domi type of situation?
What do you think I think?
Well, analytically, I think your head almost blew off. I think you bunted and ran around the block to try and cool off. That's what I think, especially given that John Klingberg, I think, analytically was one of the worst defensemen in the league last year, was he not? From a number standpoint?
Literally, like, the worst. But like, those metrics are all, like, some of that's, like, team stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So that one I don't love, obviously. I mean, you're asking him to bounce back in a really important season when he's, like, it's not just been 1 year, like, it's been a few years now. The Reaves one, you guys probably disagree with me. I just don't get that at all. I would have not gotten it if it was for 1 year for league minimum. Like, maybe for league minimum, I've been like, okay, but 3 years at 1.35 for someone I'm not sure can actually play and play in their playoff lineup, like, I just don't get that. I mean, they've been here with that kind of player before, and it just hasn't worked. So that one I don't like. The other two, like, I think Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi are fine. I don't think their lineup is as good as it was at the end of last year, but, like, the lineup on day one isn't the lineup that you start the playoffs with, so I'm not sure that matters as much as maybe you think. Just
remind me, who was the Ryan Reaves that was there before?
Oh, there's been a lot of them. I mean, they had Kyle Clifford, they had Wayne Simmons.
Yeah, but those guys don't scare people. Not at all. Wayne Simmons didn't scare anybody because he couldn't barely skate near the end of the year. And same thing, Kyle Clifford didn't scare it. He wasn't a heavyweight. Those guys weren't.
But I get that. But what does that matter? Like, Minnesota lost in the first round. Like, what did it matter that he could play 9 minutes and scare people? Like, I just don't know that it matters.
Well, I get it, but I'm just, like, I wouldn't compare those guys to Ryan Reaves. Like, they literally went and got the toughest guy in the league. Or him and Lucic are pretty much the toughest guys. That's the philosophy, I guess. And, whether you like it or not, that's kind of what the thought process is. Because Wayne Simmons, you know what? I don't think he scared a lot of people last year. And same thing, Kyle Clifford didn't scare people. They were guys who could fight. That was the difference. I don't know. Maybe the philosophy from Treliving is that he wants the toughest guy in the building to protect his players. I don't know. That's kind of
that would be that's why he's here. I mean, obviously, right. He's a big personality. By all accounts, he's a great guy in the room. Like, all that kind of stuff is valued. But ultimately, Reaves, he's not here to play PP1. Right, he's not here to score 30.
No,
like, he's here. Yeah. He is definitively your 12th forward who will play like 7 minutes a night, and he's going to hit guys, fight guys, be loud on the bench,
and maybe deter some of the other donkeys out there.
Well, I just
slap people around and not try to punch Austin Matthews.
Well, what do you exactly like? Travis connected. Does he do that nonsense when the next guy up on the ice? Like, that's the type of stuff that I'm thinking about. Is like, because there was no deterrence on that team last year.
I get that, but, like, in the playoffs, that doesn't matter. Like, that wasn't why they lost to Florida. It wasn't why they lost to Tampa the year before. It wasn't why they lost to Montreal.
You're right. Yeah. You're right about one thing, Jonas, because there's a chance there's a chance that Ryan Reaves could not dress in the playoffs. That happens a lot in the National Hockey League, where a fourth-line tough guy, come playoff time, someone from the AHL comes up, and he does not play on a regular basis. That does happen, and that could happen.
it's a 3-year deal, and if I'm not mistaken, is he turning 38 in?
Yeah, no,
January?
I get that. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. I agree. I think the term and everything. You're not wrong. Like but what all I'm thinking of is they still have to make it through 82 games. And I think there has to be, like, the way I look at it, like, let's look at regular season before we look at playoffs. Like, I think there has to be an attitude adjustment and shift in that room, in that within that team on nights where it is November or February and somebody's messing around. Like, I think they have to get to the playoffs. You're right. I don't know if Ryan Reaves plays Game 1 or Game 5 of the playoffs.
Yeah, and Noodles, furthermore,
you still have to make it through the regular season, you know?
Jonas, your Geno Malgins running around, that didn't do much either. So maybe
I did not
the idea of
switching
up the personnel types with Sergei Kurzvatsov's or whatever that guy's name was, SKA, maybe that doesn't fly.
What was that guy's name? Argentutin or whatever.
He's gone. No, but like you could, I mean, you saw what they did at the deadline. That's the kind of thing that makes more sense to me. Like if you want to change the personality, add personality guys who can contribute. The other thing is like, isn't that kind of like, I mean, if you're going to continue to bring back those same core guys, isn't it kind of like, I don't know, not the greatest thing if you're saying we have to bring in player X to kind of, I'm going to argue against myself. Like they've been a really good regular season team. It's not like they need help in the regular season.
Right.
But if you're trying to say like our room needs X, isn't that maybe telling you that, I don't know, maybe your core needs a change? I don't know. Like maybe they're obviously betting that it's not the case, that eventually they'll be proven right. We'll see.
Jonas, isn't one of the things that you're interested in is just like you talked about the players and why Shanahan would believe in them because they haven't been able to get it done. Like, I'm kind of curious, like, are these guys going to come in here kind of looking and acting and feeling like grown men? Because sometimes when you're like a grown-ass man, you're a little bit grumpier and you want it a little bit more. You feel like you're really totally – I talk a lot about it. You have a lot of skin in the game where you're like, I'm sick of answering these questions. I really want to do this. Just the whole approach and kind of an older-looking, more mature team.
Yes, but, like, wouldn't you kind of like it to be or sound a little bit more – I don't know, like the last couple of years, there's been a little bit of an air of like, we've been unfairly maligned a little bit. And I'd kind of like to hear the opposite. Like the criticism is fair. We haven't won. Like we won one playoff round. We're a really good regular season team. Like
how could anything be unfair if they don't win in any rounds? Like, I don't know what would be unfair.
But I don't think that that's like the impression I've gotten at times from their core people. Like I mean, we talk about that end of season press conference. Like, I didn't really hear that enough. Like, again, like who cares what they say in a press conference? Like, it only matters what happens on the ice. But you'd kind of like to, I think like ultimately you're right. Like you'd like to hear a little bit more. It's enough already. Like they're giving us another chance to take a run at this. We need to actually. I mean, it's not like they don't want it. That's the other thing. Like it's not like they want this to be the case. Mm-hmm. So,
well, it gets back to what I was saying a while ago. It's do they really believe? You know, like you like. I'll give you an example. Pittsburgh missed the playoffs last year. I don't think Pittsburgh's great. I guarantee you, Sid believes they can win a cup. Like I guarantee you,
he's bounce back cup.
Yes, like cup. I believe we will do that. Doesn't mean it'll happen. I don't know. Like I don't. Does Matthews believe the core that they have will do it? I don't know. I mean,
but do you think like so? I talked to Luke Shen today for a story, and one of the things like he brought up is like Tampa. You know, they had all those experiences where you know they lost in the first round and they lost in the final, and like they just kept getting these experiences until they finally got over the hump. Like, do you think before they won that first cup, they thought they could win? I don't know. Like I think back to the Raptors and all those playoff disappointments where like LeBron kind of clowned them.
Yeah, what happened like, before they finally won though, Jonas?
Well, they got the guy who actually doesn't just think he can win.
Right. Big trade. And they got rid of DeMar, who was a core piece, who didn't believe.
Which speaks to changing things up.
Yeah.
I mean, like only in it's like you guys follow the other sports as like I do. In other sports, like this would have changed a long time ago. Like, you just see other teams. Like, I think about the Boston Celtics traded Marcus Smart, who's like their heart and soul leader in the offseason. They've been to like 5 conference finals. They've been to the finals. Anyway, like, we'll see. Like, maybe they'll be proven right. Like, maybe, at this time next year, we'll be talking about how Brendan Shanahan bet on this group and they came through and they won a cup. And it's just like, there just isn't a lot of evidence to this point that that's going to happen.
Well,
we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it comes down to. Like, I was doing something with Gino and Craig this week, like floor and ceiling, where like ceiling is them winning a cup, floor is them
Hang on a second here.
losing
We get
in the
it.
first
You're on
round.
Sports Center.
I
for
didn't say
crying
that.
out
I'm
loud.
just referencing who I was doing it with.
Oh, but every other day you're like, I was doing something with Gino and
Corey
Craig.
Warren and I.
yeah,
Just
it's
pointing
just-
out that's who I was doing it with.
We see it. We
trying
see
to-
it, pal.
I'm just pointing out that it was a floor and ceiling, a very creative bit, and the floor was the Leafs losing in the first round. The floor was them losing the first round. The ceiling was them winning a Stanley Cup, and that's been their parameters for 5 years. And 5 years ago, I would have said ceiling. 4 years ago, ceiling. Probably 3 years ago, ceiling. I can't keep saying ceiling when they keep living on the floor. Like, is the point? Like, it's not that they're not talented. It's not that you don't want to see it happen. Of course, this market deserves it. The fan base deserves it. But we've been down this road so many times.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, Jonas. Thanks, buddy. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks, fellas.
Jonas Siegel.
Thanks, Jonas.
Of The Athletic.
I
Good
just
man, Jonas.
He is. Jonas is the best. I just thinking, he's not wrong. Like the Reaves deal is too long, a little too much, whatever. But and the Klingberg, like, you hope that there's something there, some magic. A guy could be on the power play. Like, I think he's a good power play guy. And Bertuzzi and Domi, add some grit and sandpaper.
And 1 year deals
also
for those guys.
1 year deals. But it looks different for me, and that's what intrigues me. Because you're right, it's not Jerry Malgin flying around and, the same type of rolling out 4 lines that look the same. I'd rather have some difference. Yes, and see if that works, and at the deadline you adjust or you add to it or subtract.
And
to me,
as far as the regular season goes, like with all the power plays and the penalties, regular season, you can talk about depth all you want, but the big boys are out on the ice a lot. There's a lot of power plays, man. There's a lot of penalty killing. And when they're done killing a penalty, it seems like you're getting a bunch of – it doesn't seem like – playoffs, you got to throw 4 lines out there to get things done. But 82 regular season games, like, there's a lot of special teams. I don't like it. I can't stand watching it because it seems like a special teams practice. But that's what's happening now.
Yeah. Well, and there can be change at the deadline as well. And I think if you have a little different feel, I mean, we're talking about the forwards. We should be talking about the D because that's
where Klingberg comes into play, right? But I think from a purely entertainment standpoint, I love the fact that Reaves will be a Leaf. I think it'll be fun. Like, he's going to get in some fights. He's going to throw some hits. He's going to be chirping all over the place. And there's guys within this division. Lucic is in Boston. You got Jeannot down in Tampa. Like, there's going to be Reaves will fight Jeannot. It's going to happen. I guarantee. Yeah. I'd be shocked if they didn't go a couple of times.
What about a quiet building on a Tuesday night, just smashing somebody through the boards to get the crowd into it?
Right. And
Toronto fans love seeing good body checks, and they don't see him a ton.
He'll be fun. He will be fun. Come playoff time, it's a different story. I don't think he'll play. Personally, I'd be surprised if he played. He might. If he does, he's not going to play a massive role. No. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think strictly from an entertainment standpoint, putting the contract money aside, Reaves is a fun player. Like, he's a fun player to have in your market. And I think Leaf fans will embrace that. And I think, he's obviously going to have to play an important role behind the scenes with this team.
Well, I bet you there'll be a ton of Reaves jerseys. I'll bet you that. There'll be a ton of them.
Yep.
And I'm not discounting the fact, I'm not lying. Like, there's people that, and we've all talked about it on our show, Konechny taking a swipe at Matthews and stick swinging, stuff like that. Like, you have a police officer like Reaves 20 feet away, you think twice. You act a lot different. Having somebody that could potentially be on the ice with you next shift. Mm-hmm. Like, I still believe in the deterrent mentally. Konechny's not fighting Reaves, But there's a chance that Reaves goes, I don't care what you're going to do. I'm still punching you in the face the next shift.
Right.
And we'll see how that affects teams mentally. Like there's, you hear about it all the time. Guys a foot taller out there with that guy on the ice or that guy on the bench. I witnessed that. I know it was in the 90s and early 2000s having, tough guys on the bench. But it's just, there's still that, like, if it helps you 5% mentally, that's what you're looking at. That's kind of where I was going with Ryan Reaves.
Yeah, and listen, intimidation is still a big part of the sport. It's a physical sport.
You're allowed to do that.
Yes, yep. Intimidation plays a big role in a physical sport, and it will continue to. Mail-In Fridays brought to you by Boston Pizza, the best place for any family meal. Plus, for the month of September, kids will eat free with minimum purchase when you dine in. So grab the kids and hustle into your local BP tonight. Dear Hayesy-B. Right around the corner. Best bet still to come later in the hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Insight. The ability to see and understand why you do the things you do.
Dear Hayesy-B.
We're going to go down there and have a donkey barbecue, and I'm going to furnish the ass, right?
You don't want to hide a Mars bar in your sleeping bag when there's a bear outside the tent.
You guys know the deal. A lot of positive feedback. On how we help people.
Agreed. I've heard that. Now, it's anecdotal, but a lot of people saying, hey, thank you for that. So I appreciate it.
You heard the guy in the little intro. Great revised intro there, JP.
Little production from JP. I like it. JP Berry, real one.
That's why I called him today and called the real JP Berry. We get tweets from asking Dear Hayesy-B how to help, and then we provide help. Very simple. Mm-hmm. Dear Hayesy-B, my girlfriend's dad got shattered at our club's end of the season ceremony. He kept insulting my hair/physique. He passed out at the table, and I accidentally spilled a beer onto his lap. Light gray, pleated slacks. When he woke up, it was obvious that he thought he urinated himself. He was humiliated, and I didn't tell him what really happened. In fact, I pointed it out as many people as possible, and he couldn't even texted some people pics. If I tell him now, will he want to fight me? Should I confess? I think the big thing is here, he kind of wants to know about the girlfriend's dad getting shattered. I don't think he liked it.
No, it doesn't sound like he's a big fan. It sounds like basically when the father-in-law gets shattered, he has one target, and it's this guy. And that's tough. But I think you kind of got to chew on it. Now, this is where you can get some payback because you can't start chirping back. You got to be respectful. But you don't say a word. You let him stew in that, right?
Yeah, you let him know that. Yeah, let him know. Let him think he pissed his pants. Honestly, that's the way I would like.
He already thinks it, so why change it now? That's the way to get back to the guy. If he's always going to be beaking you and chirping you and being a hero and possibly ruining, ceremonial evenings, then
Guys,
the least you can do is let him chew on that.
What about this? You say, let me meet you for lunch, Daryl. And you go to lunch with Daryl and you come clean and you say, I'm going to tell you something. You didn't piss your pants. I spilt the beer on your slacks. But if you get shattered and try to carve me in front of my family and friends, I'll stuff you in a garbage can. I don't care if you're my girlfriend's dad or not.
Not happening. Never going to happen.
Why?
I think because this is the nugget you hold over his head. Because the minute he starts chirping, you'll be like, hey, you know what? Let's not have too many drinks over there, or we know what happened last time. That's what I would do. Is you pointed out to him, dude, you've already pissed your pants once. That might happen again here. That's the comeback you have on him when he starts chirping your salad. And what else was he chirping? His hair and his teeth.
Physique.
Physique. Yeah, it sounds like his boiler was a target. And it's a psychological warfare. And this is a significant piece of ammo. This is an atomic, this is really serious ammo to be able to be like, hey, I'd watch yourself there, pee-pee pants. You don't want to get carried away. Little comment like that. You'll get a side eye, and he will watch himself.
Oh, you get a Sunday night nice turkey dinner at Thanksgiving, and you say, hey, piss yourself over there, Daryl. He will come over the top.
Can we get a little Depends over here? Like you just point
Depends aisle 3 for Daryl. Yeah.
Clean up.
Dear Hayesy-B, my beer league team made facility championships. Faculty. I don't know.
What?
My beer league team made facility or faculty.
Faculty championships.
Yeah, no. No, it's facility, guys.
Who cares?
Facility,
and the tourney is tomorrow. But I'm not playing because my wedding is next week, and I don't want to risk injury. In quotations, I've had concussions. My fiance would kill me if I got hurt. Do I suit up or open doors on the bench for the boys? Hayesy-B, I got to think that you would be along the same lines of thinking. Why don't you go first?
I think you have to play, dude. You're getting married next week. Now, you don't have to be a lunatic. It's a beer league. Faculty, facility, it doesn't matter. I have run into a situation like this with a friend of mine who I believe it was before his wedding. It might have been before one of his brother's wedding. His 3 brothers, and he got into a full-blown fight, like cages off, black eyes, like it was a brawl. And it was like the Sunday before the wedding. And he showed up at the wedding, and he had black eyes and everything. Like, it was a disaster. And he had to really talk himself out of that. That did not go over well. But in retrospect, I think even he realized maybe I should not have dropped the gloves the week before my wedding at a beer league game, right?
Yeah.
Be sensible.
Guys are
don't block
stupid.
shots.
How
don't
many
chirp.
times have you ever been to a wedding where the wedding party got into it, like golf the day of the wedding, and you could tell they're all hammered, like they're shattered?
Oh, yeah.
It's like you had to get hammered the day of the guy's wedding?
I know. Save until after the ceremony. I've never understood that either. Like, you can maybe have a couple of beers, maybe a shot or two while you're getting ready. You know,
there's always one guy that's just face planted, and he's like Daryl at the event.
Right. It's unnecessary. But no, this guy's got to play. Come on, man. Suit up.
You got
to suit up.
I don't think he should play. No, I think if he stands there on the bench, he might have to wear a helmet so he doesn't get a puck in the head.
That's a loser move.
Hear me out, though. Here's why. Hayes, you've told me these situations, beer league. There's a bunch of crazy people out there playing for a Stanley Cup, contracts in the stands with scouts. Like, this guy, you know what'll happen. He'll get out there, the competitive juices will get flowing. He'll get hit from behind, and he's all of a sudden breaks his leg or something, and it's going to affect, because you can't control yourself the minute you play. You're not going to go, I'm not going in the corner and battling for that puck because I'm getting married next week. You're like, I'm going in. I'm fine, and all of a sudden something happens. And he says he has a history of concussions. So you get another one, and you're a week away from your wedding. I say you can't play. And you go on the bench, but make sure you don't get hit by a puck. The helmet was a little bit of a stretch. The
helmet would be a stretch, but you never know. That's tough to explain to the boys. I think if you're not going to play, you got to come up with an excuse as to why you can't make it. You know, work event. You can't show up and say, sorry, boys, I'm not suiting up for the biggest game of the year, but I'm going to open the door.
Well, bad hamstring or something. Say, hey, guys, I've hurt myself.
Maybe you could fake a hammy injury.
Maybe.
Possibly. All right,
this one, guys, it's the most important one we've ever done. So it's serious.
Okay.
Usually this is a light segment, but you got to dig deep and come up with something here, okay?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Dear Hayesy-B, my father-in-law has an Iafredi-looking skullet. He loves his long hair, but everyone else knows it looks horrible. How do we gently deliver the news that he needs to go full Messier?
This is really important, actually.
You can't have a guy with long locks at the back with a monkey bum skullet.
Iafredi skullet.
I think what you got to do is you got to let him see it. Like, get a bad view of it. Like, snap a photo and
let's
text
look at
it
the
to
landscaping back there, and then you take the pic.
You take like a 360 view of like what other people see, not what just you see in the mirror. People that are walking to the side of him, people walking over top, or like when he leans back, you see, the skullet back there. Let him know what it really looks like. That's what it's a subtle, like, snap and pick and just send it to him, or text it to him and go, that's what you're dealing with from the back. That's what other people are seeing from the side. And then he might
Noodles,
have a
it's your
different perspective.
Father-in-law, man.
He knows that, dude. Like, you got to understand, rose-colored glasses. He knows what's cooking upstairs, and he sees glory, right? He sees a beautiful flow.
I know, because he only is at eye level. He's got a little puff up there, and it's slicked on the sides. And
I'm telling you.
The thing is, to
Give
go
him a
full
side
Messier,
view.
like Messier is a lifestyle change that you never go back on. Like, you don't go Messier and then 2 years later go, I'm going to grow it out again and not be Messier. Like, has Messier ever not been Messier since 1987 or what? Like, once you go Messier, you're Messier for life. No one starts, bicking their head and then all of a sudden decides 5 years later, actually, I'm going to let it grow out and see where we're at. Once you go down this road, it's eternity. All right. That's the issue that I think a lot of guys have. And
I know, but you have to explain to him. You have to say,
no. Let him live.
No.
Let him be Ali Afridi.
No way.
Let him be Ali Afridi.
You say, why don't we just go with Messier look forever?
No.
It's not.
Why not Ali Afridi? He was a great player. We love Ali Afridi.
But this guy's not
Why can't you be Ali
This guy
Afridi?
might be Rick from Keswick.
I understand. He's not literally Ali Afridi. Ali Afridi was in the show and was cool. Maybe this guy's cool. Maybe this guy's got a cool gig and a truck, and I don't know. Maybe he leaves his door, maybe his window's open, and he does crazy things in the morning. Who knows
It's
what this
very
guy's
simple.
doing.
You get out some liquor, and once it starts flowing, you say, Steve, name 5 people that think your hair looks good. If you can do it, you can keep it.
No,
you don't survey people though on your hair. I mean, no one. He's not going to be able to answer that on the fly.
Then why are you saying just keep it and live the
Why
dream?
not? Why not? Afridi, there's nothing wrong with that. I love Ali Afridi's hair. Personally,
Here we
I
go,
see him
Noodles. You know what's up with this one. This guy, that's ridiculous. What you just said. That was the most important one of the year.
And I'm giving you life advice. Let him live. Eventually, he'll come to the light and say, "It's time. It's time to mess."
May not though.
And by the way, I forget the person that illustrated that tweet, but I want an update in a week. What happened?
Yes, likewise.
Dear Hayesy-B, my sweetheart of 4 years has drawn a line in the sand yesterday and declared that if I don't take immediate action, in quotations, engagement, there will not be a 5th year.
Ooh.
She's a total catch, and I love her, but I also treasure, and I feel like that word should be in all caps, those 2 to 3 nights per week when I'm alone.
Ooh, so they're not living together. Okay.
All right. So here's what's the protocol like to get engaged and you have to move in together, or do you like
not immediately,
you
but
get
at some
engaged?
point.
Like that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so give yourself another 6 months, but like get engaged right away. But say, hey, let's have a plan. Let's move in the next 6 months. Let's find a place, all that. You've still got the 2 to 3 nights on your own, but you're going to have to taper off eventually. What you've done is just bought yourself some time.
No, he doesn't.
You don't think so?
He just says, you want a status quo? Come on in. 2 or 3 nights a week, I'm going for wings, I'm going for beers, I'm going golfing, I'm doing my thing. You want to merge or not?
Yeah, but when he comes back from the bar, he's not on his own. I mean, that's the whole point. Like, it's this guy.
Well,
I think,
unless
likes
he's
the
up
idea.
to monkey business, what does he
No,
care?
it's not about monkey business.
No,
I think
but
it's about
what if he likes to come home at 5 a.m. on the nights that he goes out instead of 2:30? When the bars close at 2, he likes to go and have a bite to eat.
Our boy here
or go
just
down.
said, let him live. Let him live.
Yeah, listen, this is this is one where I don't think we can help you. You got to make the call, right? You got to make the call. If she's the one for you, you call a bluff. You could call a bluff, right? Possibly a bluff, but I don't know. If this is the real deal Holyfield and this is where it's going, then I think you gotta make the move. And maybe you offer up, as Noodles is saying, the full move in after the wedding, right? Wedding day and then a full move in.
If he wants to sack up, he can just say flat out, I'm riding shotgun and I'm having my night, so see you later.
Sure. All right, there you go. Dear Hayesy-B. Mail It In Friday brought to you by Boston Pizza, the best place for any family meal. Plus, for the month of September, kids eat free with minimum purchase when you dine in. So grab the kids and hustle into your local BP tonight. That's probably what he's doing, is hanging out at Boston Pizza, and he wants to be left alone.
Getting drilled every night.
Absolutely crushing the menu at Boston Pizza and doesn't want to be bothered. Come back with our best bets. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Looking ahead to Sunday. Bengals money line, Chargers money line. Neither team starting the year 0-2. Seahawks plus 4.5. I think Seahawks money line might be a play in Detroit, but I'll take the points if you're giving them to me. Bengals money line, Chargers money line, Seahawks plus 4.5 in Detroit. That parlay paying plus 418. We love it. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Same game parlays this NFL season now include passing touchdowns and receptions on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. Must be 19 plus. Physically located in Ontario. Go time. Week 2 of the NFL starting last night. Eagles with a win. Vikings with a cover. Games on Sunday. 2 games on Monday. Jays in action tonight. Bobblehead night. Barrios bobbleheads. Apparently there's a bunch of them still available. You never see that. That's what I just read anyway. Let's see what kind of buzz it'll be down at the park this weekend. We're out of here. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for all the help. Everyone for tuning in as well. Radio, TV, podcast, web. We appreciate it. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at...
Skull it. Shave your head. I'll do it for you. I'll come by and do it for you. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.